The Sixers have now dropped to 2-10 at the start of the NBA season, and things are beginning to look ugly. However, there is one significant bright spot, that being Jared McCain continuing to look well above his expected developmental curve, and how this changes everything for the Sixers team moving forward. I want to talk about what this means for the Joel Embiid era and the Tyrese Maxey era moving forward, how McCain fits into this team in both the short term and long term, and just how much we should buy into this strong start. Now, we've seen a lot from Jared McCain, that I think he's very clearly been the beneficiary of the injuries that we've seen on the season. To kind of talk about what he's produced so far from a season-long standpoint, that he's averaged 14.8 points per game, 2.4 assists there. He's already registered a double-double, shooting 40.3% from beyond the arc, 47.4% from the field. These are fairly consistent with what we've seen from him. And look at this play right here. Just close your eyes and tell me who this looks like. Jared McCain with the off-ball motion, resetting his feet and knocking down a three. That is a Steph Curry disciple if I have ever seen one there, and that is what excites me so much. Now, I'm not up here to say that Jared McCain is the next Steph Curry. Those are crazy comparisons to throw in. In fact, I'm pretty confident that we will see him come down to earth a little bit at some point, but just to set the stage for how impressive that he has been to start the season, I want to start out with a couple stats here. For starters, over the past 4 games, that he's averaged 28.3 points per game, 4.5 assists, shot 50.6% from the field, 43.9% from beyond the three-point arc. I believe he is yet to miss a free throw in the NBA. And to continue with this here, the only other rookies since 1980 to average 28-4 with 50-40-90 splits over 4 games per stat head are Larry Bird and Trae Young. And McCain's assist-to-turnover ratio of 3.0 towers above theirs, 1.69 and 2.17 respectively. To add to that here, we also have Jared McCain currently ranking 9th all-time in points per minute. Look at the names on that list. We're talking about Joel Embiid at number 1, Luka Doncic. We got Michael Jordan on here, Zion Williamson, Kevin Durant. These are ridiculous names to be mentioned in these same sentences. And to continue a little bit more, we have NBA rookies in the last 25 years with 34 points and 10 assists in a game. Been Jared McCain this year. The last time this happened was back in 2018-19, that being Trae Young. Luka Doncic has done this, Steph Curry, LeBron James, and that is it. That is ridiculous company to be mentioned with. Now, with McCain, I do want to talk about kind of the short term and the long here. For the short term, what has changed is you have to absolutely continue giving this guy as many minutes as possible, and that means when the team is fully constructed. That I understand there are concerns about the size. How does he fit next to Tyrese Maxey? Is he ready to take this significant step? Well, you better find out, because there's nothing to suggest otherwise at this point, and McCain has earned that opportunity. I personally am feeling very confident as far as his processing the game. That 10 assist game, these were not like layup assists of guys just making shots. McCain was creating shots with his playmaking, which it's interesting because when you flash back to his Duke tape, we didn't see a ton of him from an on-ball or true point guard perspective. There were a couple other guards on that roster. McCain was kind of reduced to more of a shooting guard-oriented role. When I did have a chance to talk to Jared out in Summer League in Las Vegas, that was one of the things that I asked him about, and he basically mentioned that like he's been a point guard his entire life, was asked to play a little bit of a different role at Duke, but still thinks he's plenty capable and wants to help a team however he can. And that confidence is something that I think is particularly noteworthy with Jared McCain, is that this is a guy who is as fearless as just about any rookie that I've ever seen. And I do love this one quote that he had after this was 2 games ago here back home at the Wells Fargo Center. And he was said, quote, "You'd be lying if you think I believe there's 15 guys better than me." And the most points by a rookie this season, it is McCain leading the pack with his 34-point and 10 assist performance. Zachary Risache is second with 33 points. McCain has also dropped 27 and also dropped 23. So cracking out of the 6 names on this list, or 5 names on the list, McCain is on there 3 times. Now, as far as the long term of this team, this changes a lot for this Sixers franchise. That the Tyrese Maxey draft pick extended the Joel Embiid era, that it kept that championship window open. If that had just been an average role player, we're probably talking about Joel Embiid being unhappy, a potential force-out trade, a potential rebuild that we're in right now. The Maxey selection extended this window of Sixers basketball. The Jared McCain draft pick may have created an entire new era. Now, I know there's concerns of, can Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain play together? We will see how the size stacks up. This is way too early to have any sort of definitive answer for that. But what I can confidently say is this version of Jared McCain is a more NBA-ready player than the version of Tyrese Maxey that walked into the league. There is zero doubt in my mind that from day one, McCain looks ready to make a more immediate impact than was the case with Tyrese Maxey, and we've clearly seen what Tyrese Maxey has turned into. A certified all-star, a true incredible talent that is still growing and getting better in this league, and I think McCain is going to join that exact same trajectory. That is super exciting stuff for this franchise and stuff I'm excited about moving forward. I do love the look to seeing them next to each other is something that fires me up. There is the same kind of infectious vibes, the energy that both of them bring to the table, and obviously there is the on-court ability that I'm excited to see them look like together. Now, as far as Tyrese on the season, that we've seen from him 27.6 points per game, 3.0 rebounds, 3.9 assists. That obviously he's battling that hamstring injury, hopefully returning in the short term. There are some fairly optimistic reports about that because the Sixers need him back. As much as I am excited about the potential of Jared McCain and what we're seeing in the short term, the reality is that they do have to win games. And to talk about these standings a little bit here, the Sixers sitting at 14th in the Eastern Conference with a 2-10 record. There's no way to sugarcoat that this is far from an ideal start. Now, to be a little bit of the voice of reason here, I'm hovering over the panic button for the season. Is this a bad start? Did they put their backs against the wall? Absolutely. There's no argument there. But to kind of be a little bit of the overly just break down the outlook here, let's take a look at the Eastern Conference as well. There's a lot of bad teams this year. And looking at it right now, the New York Knicks currently are in 4th place in the Eastern Conference, 7 games out from first. Zoom down to the Sixers at 14th, who are 11 games out of first place. So what that means, the Sixers are just 4 games out of 4th place in the Eastern Conference, and there is plenty of season left to play. I know I would use this comparison often, but I always like to compare it to a football season, which of course there's 17 games in the NFL versus basketball where there's 82. What that essentially means is about every 7 NBA games should equate to 1 football game. So what this means in this current situation, the Sixers have started the year 0-1 and look like they're going to drop to 0-2 based on a football schedule. So is that ideal? Again, far from the case. You wish they were winning games, and frankly, there's been some unacceptable losses. That most recent loss against the Orlando Magic without Paolo Banchero, where Jared McCain was playing out of his mind, looking like their best player on the floor, that was an unacceptable loss. You have to find a way to get one in the win column, especially when Joel Embiid is on the floor. They are 0-2 in games Joel Embiid has played so far, and that is unacceptable. And in complete honesty here, Joel Embiid has not looked like his MVP self. That currently through the 2 games that he has played, just 16.5 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, shooting just 26.9% from the field and 10% from 3. It has not been pretty for Joel. Now, I will say, I thought physically he looked significantly better in the second game, that I thought he was moving better than was the case in night 1. We know what is the story with Joel Embiid traditionally throughout his career, that it takes a couple games for him to fully get settled. Again, that's not something that I wish was the case, but it's unfortunately the cards that the Sixers are dealt there. So you have to allow him to catch up to game speed, and it's fair to criticize that because we've seen that Joel Embiid has stayed out as long as he could, and you know, the situations going on behind the scenes with the injuries, with the suspension, with the investigation by the NBA, that it is fair to have higher expectations for him to be ready. But that is the reality. Now, to kind of circle this back to the Jared McCain and Joel Embiid conversation, I do see a lot of the push of, you know, maybe this is the Maxey and McCain era that needs to start. Maybe Joel Embiid does not have it left in the tank. Now, I think it's too premature to declare that either, that we need to see more season, we need some more sample size, and there is very clearly a world where Joel Embiid can take a little bit of offensive responsibilities off his plate, put it on the plates of Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain, and allow Embiid not to need to be this leading scorer in the league, as has been the case 3 out of the last 3 years. He just didn't meet the games required last season, but that's the version of Joel Embiid that we've seen in past seasons. If that is the case, it's just a blessing that Jared McCain is on this roster here. I'm not ready to get there. I still think that Joel Embiid will ultimately be fine on the season. He will play himself into shape, and when we zoom out, look about 20 games in the future here, closer to the midpoint of the season, all of a sudden he's looking a lot better. But if the offense has to look a little bit more consistently like this, where there is the off-ball motion, guys flying around, Jared McCain relocating, that is not the worst thing in the world. And the fact that the Sixers do have this as an option to fall back for is incredibly exciting for this franchise here. And Paul George, a little bit of similar conversation, that he has not been the player we paid for just yet. That was his first game against the Magic without a minutes limit, so I'm not ready to come super hard at the guy just yet. But there's no doubt that he has not lived up to expectations. And to lay out the full stats from what we've seen so far, 16.5 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 5.2 assists, shooting 39.8% from the field, 31.1% from 3. I'm still not going to do the Tobias Harris conversations because his game is still significantly better than Tobias. That he is able to attack the paint, create for others in a way Tobias never had. Defensively, he's off the charts better. It's still an improvement here, but it's very fair to be not quite satisfied based on the max contract addition that he clearly is. So ultimately, the pieces of the puzzle are still all over the place with this Sixers team, and there's no doubt that they have to lock in soon. That these standings are not getting much better if they don't obviously start winning some games and start climbing things. But for the time being, I'm not ready to panic. I'm ready to be excited about the addition of Jared McCain, and I do think that is the biggest, most noteworthy story to take through the first 12 games of the season. Hopefully, we'll be breaking down some much more significant wins in the coming future. I'll be diving back into here to talk about some other factors with the Sixers. I do want to highlight Gershon Yabusele. I think we're starting to see a little bit of a turnaround from Caleb Martin. The three-point shot's going in at a little bit higher rate. There's still a weird kind of kick in his shot that I do not remember from past years and have not seen in the film. So a lot of other topics that I do want to touch on, but for the time being, let's celebrate Jared McCain being well ahead of the curve and what that means for the Sixers franchise moving forward. So one more show at the Jared McCain / Steph Curry show right here. We're going to be signing off for the day as the Sixers prepare to get back in action playing against the Miami Heat on Monday. So hopefully we'll be talking about a win after that one because they need it pretty desperately at this point. Appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in this video here, and let me know your thoughts on kind of how Jared McCain changed the picture. Are you over the Joel Embiid era? I'm seeing more and more of the comments. I understand it. I'm not ready to pull the plug just yet, and I do think you need to at least see out the season. But one thing is clear to me, give McCain as much opportunity as possible for the remainder of the regular season, even when this team is fully healthy, and we will see how things go from here. So once again, appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in. Make sure to smash that subscribe button if you have not already. Drop a like on this video. I'll be talking to you next time. Peace.